In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro led on Monday the presentation of the National Journalism Award Simón Bolívar 2024 in its 82nd edition. Bolivia rejected the Argentinian government statement that described the failed coup attempt against President Luis Arce as a false accusation. And Iran concluded the first electoral debate between the candidates who reached the second stage of the presidential elections, Masoud Pezeshkian and Sayed Jalili, who focus on political and cultural issues. Hello and welcome to From the South. I'm Alejandra Garcia from teleSUR studios in Havana, Cuba. We begin with the news, and let's start with the breaking news of this hour. The Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro authorizes the resumption of dialogue with the United States in Doha, Qatar. During the broadcast of his program Con Maduro Más, the head of state announced that he had been receiving proposals for 2 months from the government of the United States to reestablish talks and direct dialogue. After careful thought on this issue, President Maduro has accepted the proposal. Furthermore, he announced that the next Wednesday he will restart talks with the U.S. government so that they comply with the agreements signed in Qatar and to reestablish the terms of the dialogue with respect, without manipulation, adding that the dialogues will be public. In Venezuela, President Nicolás Maduro led on Monday the presentation of the National Journalism Award Simón Bolívar 2024 in its 82nd edition. The ceremony took place in the Ayacucho Hall of the Presidential Palace in Miraflores. The awards were presented in different categories such as television, print, radio, graphic image, opinion, cultural, teaching and research, digital journalism, among others. This way, the national government reaffirmed its commitment and support to national and international journalists in their work to make the truth known and keep the people informed in an objective manner in their struggle against injustice. In this sense, the head of state paid tribute to journalist Julian Assange, thus demonstrating his support to journalists who fight for freedom of expression and the right to be informed. The President also presented the National Television Journalism Award to journalist Luis Guillermo García Bencomo for his journalistic work in his program El Mundo desde el Sur, broadcast on our multi-platform news channel teleSUR, in which he offers analysis and perspectives on world current affairs from the point of view of the peoples of Latin America. On the other hand, the Venezuelan head of state presented a special award to journalist Julian Assange, who vindicated with his actions an example and courageous and fearless journalism, and with truth as its essence, defend freedom of expression and the right of the people to be informed. After facing several years of persecution following WikiLeaks' release of information on acts of war perpetrated by the United States government, Assange spent more than a decade fighting for his freedom. President Maduro said today that Julian Assange was free, and that represented a victory for journalism, for truth and for freedom over repression. The National Electoral Council of Venezuela described as overwhelming the participation of citizens during the simulation held on Sunday ahead of the presidential elections of July 28th. The president of the governing body, Elvis Amoroso, highlighted the work of the CNE in the 335 municipalities of the national territory, where he also congratulated the people of Venezuela for the assistance in the electoral exercises. Amoroso also pointed out that the electoral participation extended until 9 o'clock at night in some of the institutions authorized to vote. After the simulation, the CNE detailed the speed of the electoral process, which was estimated to be around 38 seconds per voter. In this context, the president of the National Electoral Council, Elvis Amoroso, highlighted the presence of international observers during this Sunday's mock elections in preparation for the presidential elections of July 28th.
It is of utmost importance to highlight the presence of the international observers, many of whom are here today. From the Carter Center, the United Nations, the Council of Electoral Experts of Latin America, CELAC, and other election-related personalities from the 5 continents who are in our country.
On the other hand, the Vice President of the National Electoral Council, Carlos Quintero, informed that due to the good working conditions the electoral machines are in, the results of the July 28th elections will be made known in the shortest possible time.
We had 2% of centers that did not transmit and that were simulated in order to certify that the emergency transmission centers could function according to all the established protocols. This gives us an important indication that on July 28th, we'll have the capacity to deliver the results to the country in the shortest possible time after the voting is closed.
Also on Monday, the Venezuela Nuestra campaign command highlighted the high participation of the Venezuelan people during the electoral simulation. In this sense, the head of the Venezuela Nuestra campaign command, Jorge Rodriguez, ratified that the government continues working in the electoral system for the elections of July 28th. In the meantime, Rodriguez congratulated the work of the 1x10x7 machinery in the more than 1,000 polling stations set up. In this regard, Rodriguez also pointed out that the participation of the Venezuelan people during the simulation exercise demonstrated their commitment to exercise their right to vote.
The men and women of our homeland who came out in millions yesterday in a demonstration that truly moved us all deeply. It is to them, to those who stood for hours and hours in the voting lines as if it were the real voting itself, whom we even told, look, this is not the real election, you don't have to stay here in line, you've been here in line already for 8, 9 hours, and they said no, we want to vote in the mock election because it is our duty to demonstrate to the whole world that Venezuelan democracy can teach a lesson to many countries that would like to have the same attitude that we Venezuelans have.
The head of the Venezuela Nuestra campaign command, Jorge Rodriguez, confirmed that the electoral campaign begins on July 4th with massive marches in 70 cities.
The campaign begins on Thursday, July 4th. President Maduro gave us some guidelines last night, and we are going to start with a takeover of 70 cities in honor of the 70th birthday of Hugo Chavez. Massive marches in 70 Venezuelan cities as a tribute to the 70th birthday of our commander Hugo Chavez, which coincidentally was on a Sunday on July 28th, the same day of the elections.
In this context, Jorge Rodriguez emphasized that the mock elections was a good launching pad for the electoral process.
I congratulate all of you because it was a powerful demonstration of how things are done, the Venezuelan style. The Venezuelan style, in peace, with modesty, with humility, and without leaving anything to chance. My congratulations don't mean we have already won. No, the elections are on July 28th. What I do want to say is that yesterday was a very good launching pad, what we demonstrated yesterday.
Let's take a short break, but remember you can join us on TikTok at teleSUR English, where you will find news in different formats, news updates, and more. All the stories coming up. Stay with us. Welcome back. Bolivia rejected the Argentinian government's statements that described the failed coup attempt against President Luis Arce as a false accusation. The tension between Buenos Aires and La Paz escalated on Monday after the Bolivian Foreign Ministry described as unfriendly and reckless the Argentinian government's statement. The ministry condemned President Milei's remarks about the failed coup, while the Bolivian Minister for the Presidency, Marianela Prada, informed that President Luis Arce had summoned his ambassador in Buenos Aires for consultations.
Informamos We informed the Bolivian people and the international community that the government of the plurinational state of Bolivia has decided to summon the newly appointed ambassador of the Republic of Argentina in our country to express our energetic rejection of the statements made by the office of the President of the Republic of Argentina, Javier Milei. Likewise, our ambassador of the plurinational state of Bolivia in Argentina, Ramiro Capia, was summoned in consultation to be present at the seat of government.
The Bolivian Minister of the Presidency, Marianela Prada, also denounced external intervention in the failed military coup on June 26th and urged to act in accordance with the United Nations Charter and international law.
We regret that internal and external political interests that already actively participated in 2019 in the rupture of the constitutional order, even through the shipment of munitions,
incluso a través del envío de municiones, una vez más intenten amenazar la estabilidad y la institucionalidad del Estado
once again try to threaten the stability and institutionality of the Bolivian plurinational state. In this context, the uninformed and tendentious assertions about the possible existence of political prisoners
de inexistencia de un golpe de Estado militar fallido constituyen un exceso
or the possibility of the non-existence of a failed military coup d'etat constitute an excess and an unacceptable denial for which we invite you to be informed and act within the framework of the principles of respect for sovereignty and non-intervention in the internal affairs of other states, in accordance with the United Nations Charter and international law.
In Argentina, public workers protest against the policies of the government of Javier Milei in view of the new wave of layoffs. The Association of State Workers called for mobilizations in all public agencies and ministries after more than 2,300 public workers were notified over the weekend that their contracts would not be renewed. The union warned that the government measure could add up to more than 5,000 workers dismissed in the next few days. The protest agenda will continue on Tuesday with an assembly in front of the Ministry of Justice located at Sarmiento Street, number 329, while on Wednesday the general delegates of the union plan to hold a plenary meeting. In Panama, José Raúl Mulino assumed the presidency of the country on Monday during a ceremony where he was given the presidential sash. Mulino, 65, was sworn in at an event in the city of Panama following his victory in the elections held on May 5th, in which he obtained 34.23% of the votes. During the event, the president-elect swore on oath to God and the country to faithfully comply with the Constitution and the laws of the Republic. The presidential sash was given to him by Dana Castañeda, recently elected head of the country's National Assembly for the new legislature. The event was attended by the King of Spain, the presidents of Colombia, the Dominican Republic, Honduras, the Foreign Minister of Venezuela, Ivan Gil, among others. The Foreign Minister of Venezuela, Ivan Gil, congratulated the President-elect of Panama, José Raúl Mulino, on behalf of the Venezuelan President Nicolás Maduro on his inauguration. On his X account, the Venezuelan Foreign Minister stated that prior to the inauguration of the President of Panama, José Raúl Mulino, they sent him a message of congratulations and good wishes from President Nicolás Maduro to the Latin American Union with a deep Bolivarian sense. The Kenyan police officers stationed in Haiti have carried out their first surveillance rounds in different areas of the capital, Port-au-Prince. The police officers arrived in Haiti on Friday, June 28th, as part of a multinational security support mission backed by the United Nations to restore social order and to confront armed gangs that experts say control 80% of the capital. The officers began to patrol the capital accompanied by their guides from Haiti's national police. These are the first 400 men sent to Haiti out of a group that is expected to have 2,500 members. The United States Supreme Court ruled that former President Donald Trump cannot be prosecuted for any actions that were within his constitutional powers as president. This Monday, the highest judicial instance in the United States informed that with 6 votes in favor and 3 against, it was decided that the former president enjoy immunity for actions performed within his constitutional authority and not for actions performed in his private capacity. With this decision, the Supreme Court remands the federal electoral subversion case to a lower court for a thorough review. This decision was criticized by legislators who warned that 3 of the justices who voted in favor of the presidential immunity were appointed by Trump himself. We have a final short break coming up, but before we invite you to join our WhatsApp community for our English-speaking audience. You can scan the QR code on the screen to join directly and share the link to reach more people. Constant news coverage of Latin America and the Caribbean, as well as the rest of the world. Final short break, don't go away. Welcome back to From the South. Iran concluded the first electoral debate between the candidates who reached the second stage of the presidential elections, Masoud Pezeshkian and Saeed Jalili, who will focus on political and cultural issues. The event started at 9:30 p.m. local time. During the activity, both candidates expressed their opinions regarding economic issues in which they discussed the development of the country at the international level. Likewise, Pezeshkian and Jalili talked about the low participation of the citizens during the first round of the elections. Meanwhile, candidate Jalili highlighted the participation of women during the electoral process and indicated that a government plan should also be drawn for them. The Constitutional Council of Iran confirmed on June 30 the results of the June 28 presidential election, authorizing the candidates to begin campaigning for the second round of the election on July 5th. The spokesman for the Council of Guardians of the Islamic Republic, Hadi Tahan Nassif, reported that after the presentation of the election results, none of the presidential contenders filed complaints with the Constitutional Council. He also indicated that more than 24 million people participated in the elections to choose the new Iranian president following the death of Ebrahim Raisi in a helicopter crash last May 19th. In the occupied West Bank town of Tulkarem, on Monday, the Israeli occupation army carried out an assault that killed a woman and a child, in addition to wounding 4 others. Medical sources reported on Monday the murderers Nisren Khaled Damiri, aged 47, and 50-year-old Muhammad Ali Sarhan, both shot to death by Israeli occupation forces. During the attack, a contingent of soldiers with military vehicles and bulldozers laid siege to Tulkarem and Nur Shams refugee camp for a 7-hour period, where they blew up a house, placing snipers on rooftops and caused severe damage to infrastructure. The assault adds to the rising death toll of more than 550 Palestinians, including 137 children, killed by Zionist army in the occupied West Bank since last October 7, 2023. After 7 months of detainment, the Israeli occupation army released on Monday the director of Al-Shifa hospital in Gaza, Mohammed Abu Salmeya, along with other 50 Palestinians. In this regard, Mohammed Abu Salmeya, during a press conference, denounced the constant torture of prisoners, asserting that many of them were killed in their cells by Israeli agents. In the meantime, he also pointed out that the prisoners had lost about 30 kilograms of weight. Abu Salmeya was arrested on November 23rd during the first Israeli military operation at the Al-Shifa medical complex, the largest hospital in Gaza Strip. In Barbados, citizens were affected by the passage of Hurricane Beryl, which remains a Category 4 storm. The U.S. National Hurricane Center warned residents not to leave their shelters and to stay in safe places for the duration of these potentially deadly conditions. Experts also assured that this is a powerful storm developing during the Atlantic hurricane season, which runs from the beginning of June to the end of November. As a consequence of the catastrophic phenomenon, authorities declared a state of emergency in Tobago, the smaller of the two islands that make up Trinidad and Tobago, and schools were ordered to be closed until further notice. And in Europe, flooding and landslides caused on Monday by severe storm have impacted Switzerland and northern Italy, leaving at least 4 people dead. In this sense, authorities in Switzerland recovered 3 bodies in the Fontana area of the Maggia Valley after heavy thunderstorms on Saturday evening caused a landslide. According to police, the cantonal road through the valley was blocked due to the collapse of a bridge in Visleto, leaving also several areas no longer accessible by road. The northern regions of Italy have also been affected by floodings and mudslides. In this context, firefighters informed that several villages in the Aosta Valley had been cut off by the overflowing of nearby rivers and that they had carried out at least 80 rescue operations so far in the Piedmont region. We have come to the end of this news brief, but you can find this and many other stories on our website at telesurenglish.net and join us on social media, Facebook, X, Instagram, Telegram and TikTok as well. For Telesur English, I'm Alejandra Garcia. Thank you for watching.